Hi everyone, welcome to my video for part 1 of the week 2 discussion for Multi-Ed for Equity. I'm going to start by talking about my summer break briefly. Not a lot happened, to be honest. I spent a lot of it doing the schoolwork that we had to do and teaching a little golf with First Tee, which is kind of my summer camp job. And then I did get to take a couple trips like Chelan and Seaside and played some golf, played some chess, so did some fun things. I actually just began my placement on Monday. The Monday of this week was my first in-person meeting, and so I don't have a great view of how the school handles these issues, but I do have a little glimpse because the student teacher that I'm working with is running a classroom that's reintegrating students with learning disabilities and special needs into it. So coming for a couple of those periods, we have parapros, including one that's more specific to mathematics, coming into the classroom to help determine, okay, which kids are integrating the best, which kids need to be maybe pulled out to be given some extra resources to help catch them up. How are things going, basically? You know, Identifying how each child is functioning in the classroom and trying to determine, okay, what's the best course of action. So that's kind of the only glimpse I've had into that so far. But it was eye opening. Just the constant communication that goes on between these teachers, including one that's specialized to handle this reintegration. Like, this is her whole job, basically. So that was interesting. In terms of the image, um, honestly, my opinion of the young lady refusing to stand for the pledge, and you're going to probably hear about this in part 3 with the op-ed, is this is free speech. As long, I believe that students should be allowed to discuss opinions. Students and teachers should be allowed to not discuss political opinions, not just discuss them, but obviously in this case, make an action that might be political in nature, as long as it's not personal, right? If you're getting into the realm where you're personally attacking people, personally attacking groups that might be represented at the school based on race, based on gender, based on attacking, like, let's say you were to steel man the argument and say, like, okay, well, taking a knee is not actively attacking service members. If this lady was posting on social media that, the USA is evil and anyone who fights for it should blah, 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 like, be harmed, like, that would be different, right? But it's just, I believe that people in schools should be able to take political opinions that are non-personal in nature. And I don't believe that they should. And that's what I would tell any parents is she's not harming anybody. You can disagree with what she's doing. That's okay. But she is allowed to do it. And I do think in general, school leaders and teachers should address these issues because, students, like kids, they grow up and we're all in our personal bubbles. We're not, like so many of the things that I learned in school, like I wouldn't have learned otherwise. Like in my childhood, at least, I wouldn't have learned otherwise, right? Um, you're not, I grew up in like a rich suburb that, I wasn't like, there's a lot of, Asian students and white students, but weren't a lot of Hispanic students, weren't a lot of African American students. Wasn't really exposed to those viewpoints, right? Because they didn't exist, right? Um, yeah, so I grew up in a family with like two brothers, so it's all boys. So we didn't really know about issues that were more specific to girls and women, right? So I think it's important that we use this melting pot that is our schools to educate people about all of these things that do exist because they don't necessarily know about them on their own. Now, some people would argue that, well, you're indoctrinating. And I mean, I don't think that's true. Look at how the world works. There's so much information on social media. There's just so much information out there that nobody is getting all of their opinion, not all of their information from school. So I don't agree with that argument. And I do think these things should be discussed in school. so that people know that they exist. Whether or not they want to agree with what you're saying is up to them. So thank you, and hope you all are doing well.